This is a message from Royal FM, the listeners' radio.
The time is 2 p.m.
Subscribe to the bundle that makes you win 50,000 francs cash. It's Orange Bonus on #111# or via MaxEat. Orange is here.
Subscribe to Masuk for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2 p.m. newscast
with
Frinui Crispin.
Tuesday, October 7, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 2 p.m. newscast on Royal FM. In our top stories, less than 5 days to the October 12 presidential elections, candidates at the race are actively galvanizing supporters through nationwide campaigns. A case in point is President Paul Biya's meeting this afternoon in Marwa. Meantime, Cameroonians express mixed feelings on the different political programs reviewed by presidential candidates.
I see more of a campaign field still dominated by old faces but energized by new strategies. Will there be a wind of change in Cameroon, or are we still going to allow the incumbent to still continue leading us to a Cameroon that they say is going to be emerging in 2035?
And out of the country, in Sudan, more than 30 people have died and thousands stranded after devastating floods. And in sports, the Indomitable Lions are set to finalize preparations for tomorrow's World Cup qualifiers against Mauritius with final training session today. Details of this and more right ahead. Thanks for joining us.
2025 presidential election, a special page in the news.
And for our 2 p.m. political special page is Evans Williams Jobati. Good afternoon, Evans.
Good afternoon, Fumi Crispin.
We are less than 5 days to the October 12 presidentials, and candidates at the race are still actively galvanizing supporters nationwide. Evans.
In a bid of pursuing his race to the Unity Palace, the presidential candidate for the Cameroon Democratic Front, Samuel Iodi Hiram, will continue his campaign in the Central region, where he will visit Bafia in the Bam and Inubu division and Sa in the Leke division to meet with the population and local authorities. Meanwhile, in Boya, in the southwest region, candidate Hiram called on the public to vote for a youthful era.
They should vote first because I look like them. I think that I understand perfectly what they are going through. I understand the struggle they have to find job. I understand the situation of the crisis, and I think that this is one of the first mission, even though those who choose the path of violence. And I think that my goal is that within the first 100 days, they could drop their arms so we can start demilitarizing and bring back industries here in this region to give jobs to our young brothers who come out of our university.
In the West region, the Cameroon Democratic Union's candidate Patricia Tomaino Damjoya will continue her campaign rally in the Noon division after previously polling the masses in Douala. Cabral Libi of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation will also be moving to Menganga and Garwa, where he will be presenting his ideology with hopes of wooing voters in his favor. In the same light, Bello Buba Maigari will be holding a major campaign rally in Mora in the far north region, where where these after previously stepping on the Bangui grounds in the Northwest region. Take a listen to the presidential aspirant of the National Union for Democracy and Progress in this soundbite.
Convening and holding truly inclusive national dialogue in the first 6 months of my term of office. We intend to do re-examining the motives of some of our compatriots who have been in prison for some years, find a lasting solution to this problem and to save the unity of our country. The lack of security has been troubling some of our regions, the extreme north particularly, southwest and northwest, suffering from what is called Anglophone crisis.
On his part, Joshua Osei, the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Front, has kept his message of unity, restored dignity and change to the Adamawa region, where he was warmly received by supporters in Gaoundéré. Addressing the population on the evening of Monday, October 6th, Osei called on Cameroonians to believe in a future built on solidarity, justice and respect for all. His visit to Adamawa comes after campaign stops in the far north regions, where he outlined his vision and policy proposals to improve living conditions in the Grand North and across the nation. In the same light, incumbent President Paul Biya and flag bearer for the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement is currently in the far north region, accompanied by his wife Chantal Biya. The outgoing president will be in Maroua to reunite with the population as well as present his plan and program. If re-elected, I propose you listen to two elites of the region, Dr. Tiger and Alamin Usman May, who are equally militants of that party.
He's the president who gives to the far north his identity. So we are ready to vote for him. All elites and all the population, we are working to elect President Paul Biya at the head of state of Cameroon.
The most important thing we have in the far north region is our special relation with the President of the Republic. And this region, over decades, has been permanently under the strong attention of His Excellency President Paul Biya. I have the opportunity to act on behalf of the President and sign several financial convention to fund infrastructure, education, health operations in this region. I do believe that the people of this far north region are trustworthy and they have devoted their trust to the President of the Republic.
As campaigns gather momentum day in, day out, the programs presented by the various candidates have been received with mixed feelings by some Cameroonians.
Yes, Crispin, noting that the October 12 polls are the most decisive event in the country, with every candidate presenting his campaign manifestos, has left Cameroonians with varied reactions. As such, our reporter Ngang Nadesh captured some of their reactions in the following report.
So far, Kel Prince has not been impressed. According to him, candidates are rather presenting programs for change without a clear strategy on how they plan to achieve them.
All they do is to tell us how evil the outgoing president or his system is. And that's not what we need. What we need is, what are you going to do? Of course, they do tell us what they are going to do, but they don't give us strategies. It's strategies we need, not I will build roads, I will build schools, I will build hospitals, I will make this better, I will make this better. Now, everybody could say that, but what are the strategies you are putting in place in order to do that? That's what we need, not to have hours of speeches and talking, and all you do is to tell us how evil the outgoing system is. That's not what we need. We need strategies. How are we going to get better? How will we live from where we are right now to become better as a country?
Beseka Clivet shares a similar perspective.
Cameroonians are being courted with more slogans than substance. President Paul Biya is seeking another term after over 4 decades in power. And then he's leading with a slogan like greenness and hope. It projects more of optimism, but offers little in the way of fresh ideas. His manifestos reads more like a continuation than a new contract. Joshua Osei of the SDF stands out with Rescue Cameroon. With him, his campaign slogan, it's more of like a call that taps into national frustration. Like Cabral Libby, he has been, more persuasive to me. He has an economic focus. He speaks of job creation. He speaks of the tax reform and the industrial development.
For his part, Benjamin Afanyu stresses the need for a complete change of regime while he sees most political programs as distractions.
Cameroon's problem is not just changing President Paul Biya as a thing. What Cameroon needs is a complete change of regime. Chiroma is a former minister who has worked under Paul Biya. Chiroma has mastered the game, he knows the game, and this is the person who can change it. Joshua Osi, he says he's going to bring free health care. How do you bring development? How do you bring free health care when we have very limited government hospitals? And why people who are struggling to open hospitals are on high taxes? All of these things, they are just a kind of political propaganda just to distract people.
Beseka Clivet once again concludes with a thought of what the October polls results hold for the future of Cameroon.
I see more of a campaign field still dominated by old faces but energized by new strategies. Will there be a wind of change in Cameroon, or are we still going to allow the incumbent to still continue leading us to a Cameroon that they say is going to be emerging in 2035?
On Sunday, October 12, 2025, Cameroonians will head to the polls to vote the next president who will lead the affairs of the country for the next mandate.
And from Yungang Nadesh, on voting day, voters have been called upon to protect their vote during the entire process, as Yvonne B. Muma, civil society activist here, presents some techniques.
I have been to polling stations where lights went out and all the phones, people even came with touch lamps, they lighted. Because if you listen to Elekam, they say they send in the ballot boxes, amongst the polling material, you always see a lamp. That lamp cannot perimeter it lights, it's very limited. But if all the touches or all those who are inside, put on the lights of their phones, those votes will be counted. We want to believe that Cameroon has reached that level of civilization where no polling, because that thing happens within the ambit of the polling station. No polling station president will risk his or her life to want to rig elections in the name of.
And after his nationwide tour, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, had a meeting with Elekam and other foreign observers.
The Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, while chairing the 2025-2030 strategic plan of the network of election management bodies in the Central African sub-region, ROJEC, applauded the gathering for organizing a workshop aimed at adopting workable values that would advance democracy in elections. In his speech, Minat Boss presented government action in ensuring free and fair elections. He also spoke of a strong security measures and the provision of electoral materials in polling stations all over the 360 subdivisions of the national territory, which are aimed at guaranteeing an inclusive voter participation. During the launch of the two-day workshop to draft and validate the 2025-2030 strategic plan of the network of election management bodies of the Central African sub-region in Yaoundé yesterday, the president of ROJEC, Denis Kadima, stated the timeliness of such an event. Take a listen to him.
The objective is for all the electoral management bodies in the Central African region toward a strategic plan to be able to run inclusive, transparent and peaceful elections. And to do that, we want to learn from each other.
It should be noted that among the attendees were Elekam's board chair, Dr. Eno Abrams Egbe, the African Union, the European Center for Electoral Support, and the Electoral Institute for Sustainable Democracy in Africa. The forum aims to strengthen electoral integrity and foster exchanges of expertise across the Central African sub-region.
Thank you very much, Evans Williams Jobati. See you tomorrow for another special page dossier.
It's a pleasure for me, French Crispin, same time, same hour.
2025 presidential election, that was a special page in the news.
It is 15 minutes past the hour of 2 p.m. You are listening to the 2 p.m. newscast on Royal FM. Away from the special pitch, the global community is today, October 7, observing the International Day of Peaceful Communication. The annual observance aims to encourage individuals and governments to solve conflict without resorting to any form of violence. To this effect, Glory Nganga sought to know from Cameroonians how they promote peaceful communication in the environment. Her report.
As the world's population keeps increasing, there is the need for persons and institutions to create a conducive environment void of conflict. Many Cameroonians believe that the promotion of peaceful communication begins with personal efforts such as
I try to treat others with kindness and with love. Engage in respectful conversation.
I make sure that before I speak something, I have thought about it, and I ensure that the words I'm speaking, they are not hateful words that can bring about anger and strife among people.
I make it a habit to speak with respect, listen without judgment, and avoid words that cause conflict.
As the International Day is being observed, focus is on synergy, collaboration, and peace in the society.
I try to promote this virtue in my neighborhood by encouraging people to be careful when communicating one another, to use the right words, to avoid words that can increase anger, to avoid words that can lead to conflict. Because peace begins with how we communicate with one another. Peace begins with the selection of our words.
I equally support local activity that brings people together, joining in community activities.
By encouraging friendly conversations, setting the speed through dialogue, and being a positive example on how I relate with others.
Given that people have diverse ways of thinking and acting, bringing about misunderstandings, Hussein and Chimambong have devised strategies like dialogue to resolve issues with their neighbors.
I'll go in for communication, because when you communicate, you better find solutions to solve the problem, because being aggressive will not solve the problem. Once you choose to communicate, you guys can arrive to a compromise and solve your problem.
I believe that if you have an issue with a person or a group of people, you should be able to peacefully dialogue with them. And that's something that I practice even in my neighborhood. If I have a problem with a neighbor, if someone did something that I do not like, I call for the person and we peacefully talk it out.
The International Day of Peaceful Communication was founded in 2019 by Ruben West, a United States citizen, to raise awareness of the power of peaceful communication as a norm for families, communities, and institutions worldwide.
In economy, the development of a pharmaceutical industry in Cameroon is an important endeavor to be considered as the country embarks on the way to economic prosperity. But just what contributions could this sector bring in terms of gross domestic product? Jeffrey Tachum got the reactions of economic analysts and compiled the following report.
The birth of a pharmaceutical industry could be fundamental for Cameroon to move out of precarity. But for Henry Kwam, it can be difficult for local investors to make the first step in this domain.
Now, setting up a pharmaceutical company in Cameroon requires a great deal of courage, because there are a number of challenges that range from high initial investment to a lack of skilled personnel to issues related to data quality and also infrastructure. And so it's particularly challenging for new entrepreneurs.
Yet, the economic impacts of such an endeavor are numerous. Thea Fremberger is a research analyst at the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute.
By producing medicine locally, the country can also reduce drugs prices, thereby making essential and high-quality drugs more accessible and affordable for citizens. This will be very beneficial to the Cameroonians due to the fact that it will lead to the creation of numerous high-value jobs that may contribute to employment and economic growth as well.
Economists are unanimous about the fact that our biodiversity could fuel a multi-billion pharmaceutical industry out of local plants, flowers, and herbs.
Just cassava itself can be used in producing a lot of input needed by the pharmaceutical industry. For example, the starch as well as the flour needed to produce medications such as paracetamols and tablets. You need products such as ethanol, which is also being used widely in the pharmaceutical industry.
However, administrative procedures in Cameroon can be very constraining and therefore hamper entrepreneurs from investing in this sector. Henry Kwam once again.
So we need to reduce the administrative bottlenecks and make it easier for businesses to register their employees, pay for relevant procedures, obtain the relevant permits without going through costly consultants and lawyers.
In a nutshell, there is an urgent need to pave the way for a safe and friendly environment for investments in the pharmaceutical industry in Cameroon.
Out of the country, as you heard in one of our top stories, devastating floods in Sudan's Nile state have killed more than 30 people and left thousands of others stranded. Authorities say flooding of the Blue and White Nile River has destroyed hundreds of homes and worsened the country's already dire humanitarian situation. Residents describe a night of terror as flood water surged through homes and farmlands. Nigeria has lost over 600,000 barrels of oil after a 3-day nationwide strike over mass layoff at the Dangote refinery disrupted production. The information was revealed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. It also revealed the walkout by the country's main oil union made optimum production almost impossible as critical staff were absent from facilities. The strike resulted in a deferred production of about 200,000 barrels per day over the period. The United Nations Cultural Agency UNESCO is set to select former Egyptian Antiquities and Tourism Minister Khaled El Inani as the organization's next director. The body's executive board voted on Monday by 55-2 in favor of El Inani over Republic of Congo, Edouard Firmin Matoko. If successful, El Inani will be UNESCO's first chief from an Arab nation and only a second from Africa. We come back to Talk Sports. Good afternoon, Biwa Brian.
Good afternoon, Finu Crispin.
In football, the curtains officially closed on the summer transfer window in Cameroon on Friday, October 4, 2025, signaling the end of player registration ahead of the upcoming Elite 1 and 2 season. Details with you, Brian.
While the transfer period for most European leagues concluded on August, the extended window in Cameroon saw the final scramble by clubs to bolster their rosters. The summer activities were predominantly focused on domestic reshuffling and a crucial process of players' registration through the mandatory FIFA transfer matching system TMS for all national transfers. The majority of the transfers include players' movement between Cameroon's top 2 divisions, as clubs, particularly those with aspirations for continental qualification or avoiding relegation, concentrated on securing local talent and returning players. Major transfers include the move involving Wilfred Nathan Douala to Canon Sportif of Yaoundé, Leandro Tawamba to Colombe Sportif, Jules Amanko to Dynamo, and Sombang Edward to Colombe Sportif, according to sports analyst Afesi Apong.
Sombang Edwards moved from PW of Bamenda to Colombe Vijan Lobo. To me, it's one of the best moves we've seen this transfer window because Sombang is a very good goalkeeper. Last year, he kept a total of 10 clean sheets in 21 games for PW in all competitions, and he's going to Colombe to fill the boots that were left by another very talented goalkeeper, Idris Forfinia, who left for Jamus in South Sudan. I also think when you look at this move of Kazimi Foku from RS Fortuna to Colombe Vijan Lobo, it's a good move, one of the best promising young right backs we have in Cameroon football right now. I also think the move of Sunze Fubke Zunedu to Bafokeng United, I think it's a good move. He's a player that we all know he's one of the top young stars we have in the country now, and many expect much from him. He hasn't had that opportunity of playing in the elite football for some times now. Last year he played for Olympic FC of Meganga after he previously played for Options Sport Academy. I think moving to the Elite 2 Championship with Bafokeng United, it's going to be a plus for him. I'll wrap it up by talking about Douala Nathan's move from Victoria United to Canon of Yaoundé. I think this is a move that is going to bring a lot to Canon of Yaoundé, especially in terms of marketing. You know, football is all about business, and I think Douala Nathan has a huge following which can actually bring a lot to Canon of Yaoundé.
In more football news, Brian, the Indomitable Lions are set to face Mauritius at 2 p.m. tomorrow. You have echoes from the Den.
The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon conclude their camp preparations today in order to achieve a full squad strength ahead of tomorrow's crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Mauritius Island. The session, which often involves final step drills and set pieces practice, will come in sharp and determine, signaling the team's readiness to bounce back from their recent setback against the Blue Sharks of Cabo Verde. The match scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday, October 8, 2025 at 2 p.m. at the Côte d'Or National Sports Complex in Saint-Pierre is a must-win game for Cameroon as they look to maintain their pressure at the top of the CAF Group D. During one of their training sessions held yesterday, one of the players, Junior Chamade, revealed they are prepared for the mission ahead.
I'm very grateful to be back. For me, it's been a long time away, but I worked hard to try and get back into the selection, and I look forward to the next 2 games and trying to play my part as well as I can to help the team. Yeah, I find everyone is good. There's a few people that I know from when I was last here, so it was easy to connect with them and get along well with them. So they made me feel welcome, and I look forward to meeting the rest of the squad as well. Yeah, it was a good session. Obviously, after a long flight, it's just getting the flight out of our legs. So it was good to be back on the pitch with a lot of the players and forward to training more and more. I think everyone's positive. We know how important these next 2 games are. Of course, we didn't win the last game, but we have full belief that we can win on Wednesday, and that's what we're going to try and do. Everyone believes we can qualify directly. It's the spirit that we have between the team, is what we all believe that we can do, and that's what we're going to go out and do. Just bring all your support for both games, especially the game in Yaoundé at home. These next 2 games are one of the biggest for our country, and we need you all there.
At the continental level, CAF wrap up with their 47th General Assembly yesterday.
One of the major fallouts of the said General Assembly is the announcement of major financial turnarounds, as CAF announced a net profit of $9.48 million for the 2023-2024 financial year. This landmark announcement is arguably the major takeaway from the Assembly, as it marks the first declared profit for the continental body in several years. The Assembly saw high-profile attendance, including FIFA President Gianni Infantino, presidents and officials of all 54 CAF member associations, including Samuel Eto'o for Cameroon. During the meeting, CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe used the opportunity to officially confirm that Morocco remains the sole host for the upcoming 2025 African Cup of Nations, scheduled to take place from December 2025 to January 2026. In a keynote speech, FIFA President Gianni Infantino highlighted FIFA's commitment to African football. Infantino noted that over $1 billion has been invested in African football development by FIFA since 2016, underscoring the collaborative efforts to grow the sports across the continent.
Good afternoon, Doreen Bimi.
Good afternoon, Christine. Politique, le président de la République, son Excellence Monsieur Paul Biya, président national et candidat du Rassemblement démocratique du peuple camerounais à l'élection présidentielle du 12 octobre 2025, effectue depuis ce jour une visite à Maroua dans la région de l'Extrême Nord. Ceci dans le cadre de la campagne électorale. Société, ce 7 octobre 2025 est journée mondiale du travail décent. Objectif, promouvoir un travail digne pour mettre fin à l'emprise des entreprises sur les politiques publiques. Sur la scène internationale au Soudan du Sud, ce sont de nouvelles inondations meurtrières. Selon un rapport publié par le Bureau de la coordination des affaires humanitaires des Nations Unies, 19 personnes ont perdu la vie suite à des fortes pluies ayant provoqué des crues dans plusieurs régions du pays. Puis en sport, football, éliminatoire de la Coupe du Monde 2026. Les Lions indomptables du Cameroun affrontent demain dès 14h heure de Yaoundé, l'île Maurice. Seule une victoire contre l'île Maurice peut permettre aux Lions indomptables de garder espoir.
The news was technically assisted by our sound engineer and studios clerk Ulrich Kemwe, video editing Alan Kwek, and producers Biwa Brian, news editing Mapala Zita, editorial coaching Abel Bela Samari, coordination Roger Kiek, general supervision the Reverend Pastor Bisaya Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, I have been Frinwe Crispin. Thanks for your kind attention.